Live here, as always, from the Seaport, brought to you by Grey Goose, Graziano, Greeny, and these guys. Looking back on Monday Night Football last night, the Bengals and the Cowboys, and this one came down to an unbelievable and a quite. Yeah.
There's been so many things that he said this year that seem silly. That speaks to me as a person who doesn't have anyone who can tell them, you being dumb. Like, you need to be quiet. At a certain point, somewhere along the line, all the silly things that he said this year, someone needs to say, hey, you're wrong. He doesn't know that he's wrong. And that is absurd.
When he said, it's a better opportunity to return a punt than to block a punt. You just question. You literally question everything that's going on. Like who in the owner's box is agreeing with you when you come down and you're going to have your press conference. No one in the building. That was a yes. Oh no. I mean, it could not have played out better for the Cowboys until it is a fluky play. But my goodness, to talk about it as a return versus a block is just crazy.
I feel ridiculous even asking a football question about it, but just to be clear, as two guys who played in the NFL, that is not something that one takes into account when they decide whether or not to block a punt, right? is whether we'd be better off simply receiving it.
Yeah. It's so hard to block punts in the NFL. And normally when you block a punt, especially in the closing minutes of a tied game, it's a guaranteed win. You can think about it as a return. Essentially, you're getting a return. You can think about it as an interception.
Whether any of us believed it or not, they clearly believed they still had a chance. They were coming on. They'd won a couple of games in a row. They were going into what felt like a winnable game last night against the Cincinnati team, and they lose in that fashion. You saw Micah Parsons walking off the field before the game was over. Yeah. Here was his comment after the game.
I'm really soaked this one. This one hurt me more than any loss this year. Probably even worse than a playoff loss, to be honest. Because where we were going, how we were playing, playing good football. I'm going to sit on this, but, I have to find a way to keep these guys alive.
So, I mean, I guess that's where they are now, right? Your season is hopelessly over.
Not where they are. I mean, they're going to be alive.
I will say this. It is an extremely painful way to lose a football game. And I've been a part of a lot of them as a player. And when you lose in a fluky way that way, you're really going to see the salt of the players. Because when it really doesn't matter for playoffs, do they show up with the same type of attitude, of practice ability, of game, intensity, all of those things?
It's a really hard game to play. It's a hard game to practice through the course of the year. You need to be able to motivate your players and have everybody on the same accord. There's an easy message when a week ago for them, look, we can do something that no one's ever done before. We can do the impossible. That's an easy way to motivate your team. It gets real hard to motivate those players now when it actually is impossible.
They're shorthanded. Their quarterback is up there watching from the box, right? Their Hall of Fame offensive lineman, Zach Martin, misses this game, going to miss the rest of the year. So, yet they're still in it, right? They still have a chance to win, and I think they can build on that. I just think it's a tough. When you're shorthanded, it feels like, in spite of it all, we had a chance to win that game, and it just got taken from us right at the end by something dumb. I think that hurts. But I think it speaks well of the players in that locker room and of the coaching staff that they're playing this hard at this time of year after everything that's happened.
Well, we have said many times that we felt that the Cowboys, not this year, but in recent years, had sort of wasted opportunities. They had rosters good enough to accomplish something and didn't do it. I think it is also reasonable to say that the Cincinnati Bengals have wasted one of the greatest seasons that we've ever seen a quarterback have. And we can put the full screen up here. This time it's A13 on the year that Joe Burrow is having. Again, he threw for 369 and 3 touchdowns last night. Joe Burrow, yesterday was his 4th consecutive game of 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. The only quarterbacks who've ever done that, you're talking about the entire history of the league going back to the merger, so that's 54 years. Steve Young did it, Patrick Mahomes did it, Peyton Manning did it. Look at the records those teams had. How does one explain? Look, I mean, we all know the answer is because their defense is literally that bad.
It is.
But Higgins, it seems really hard to bring back Higgins. It seems like the solutions for the defense is not just a one player, will solve it.
No.
So it seems like this window to them is starting to get a little slimmer.
I think the whole draft has to be defense for them, right? Because they got to start hitting on some of these picks. They drafted some defensive guys high that just haven't worked out, right? But the Higgins and Chase situation is fascinating. Higgins is a free agent. Chase is not, but he's obviously up for an extension heading into his 5th-year option season. Joe Burrow says after the game in his press conference, I'm confident we're going to find a way to keep T. Higgins here next year. He's not just saying that because he wants it. Like there's a decision to make. If you don't want to pay Jamar Chase more money than any other receiver in the league, then you're going to have to trade him, and you're going to definitely have to sign T. Higgins. If you're going to let T. Higgins walk, you have to lock up Jamar Chase at that money because that's what it's going to cost. And then after that, you got to rebuild a defense. They got a lot to do.
Very quickly, when we talk about coaching jobs that could come open, should we be looking at Cincinnati?
I don't think that one comes open. I would be surprised by that one, given the history of that organization.
The two coaches last night, either, neither, or both back. Mike McCarthy in Dallas, Zach Taylor in Cincinnati.
One of them's back.
One of them
is your final between the Bengals and the Cowboys, and what a way it comes to a close. Joe Musso, pleased to be alongside Emery Hunt and Bryant McFadden. We got to start with the punt, fellas. That is day one install stuff. What's the call there, Mac? Hot? Peter, fire, Peter, whatever the terminology is, that's day one stuff.
It's mental mistakes becoming physical mistakes. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush today, but talking about this punt, at the end of the day, you're just not thinking in that moment, but that's the difference between a team that's going to the postseason and a team that is going home.
Neither of these teams looks to be going to the postseason. They stave off elimination, at least for the night here, do the Cincinnati Bengals with the way that they played. But second half, the adjustments were made by Dallas. They ran the ball a little bit more effectively. They stopped the high-flying attack of Cincinnati, and then you make a mistake like that. What they couldn't stop throughout this game, Jamar Chase. Again, 14 for 177, 2 touchdowns, tied for the most receptions in a Monday Night Football game, guys, and now in line for a possible triple crown. Now ranks first through 14 weeks.
A guy has broken all of these records, has done a great thing in this league, and what makes it even more impressive, if we even just go back to when his college days were, remember he sat out a year and came into the NFL and balled out. So I've been impressed with Jamar Chase since he was at LSU, and the fact that he's come into the league in a division that predicates itself on defense and just has become a superstar. So I am not surprised. I expect to see this from Chase, and what he is doing is what you're supposed to do as a number one wide receiver that's wearing number one.
Let's keep it real. As a team, the Cincinnati Bengals, they've been losing the entire season. But for Jamar Chase, he's won. Remember, a guy who felt like he was deserving of getting a contract extension. He held out. You didn't pay him. For whatever reason, Cincinnati, you did not pay him. You allowed Jamar Chase to step foot on the football field mad, angry, and wanted to dominate. That's this his personality, but he also wanted to show you as an organization, you should have paid me when I asked for what I was asking for. Now the price has increased dramatically. I don't know exactly what the per year salary is in terms of wide receivers. I think Justin Jefferson is the high guy, around 32 or 33 million.
35.
But if I'm Jamar Chase, at the bare minimum, we're starting off at 40 a year.
Wow.
At the bare minimum.
37?
No.
We can't even come together at 37?
No, because I was willing to give you that potential deal that could help either side before the season, but you guys wanted to see more. Why? I do not know. So if you're telling me Justin Jefferson is getting around 34, 35 per year, if I'm a Jamar Chase, I'm starting at 40. That's where I'm starting in terms of per year salary because of what you guys talked about. This man has dominated every week. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you have not been paying attention to what Cincinnati has been doing in terms of your film prep for this upcoming game, because I'm not allowing number one to be one-on-one with anybody in my secondary, especially in situational moments. No, you make someone else beat you. You cannot allow this man to be one-on-one because he is better than whoever it is that's covering him. Yeah. He's shown all of us that mindset week in and week out.
I know you don't want to be the worst team in the league, and this certainly is not that. They are far better than the record represents now at 5-8. But does this sort of success from quarterback and wide receiver amplify the frustration with what this season has been for Cincinnati, Matt?
No, yeah, because they're good enough to be a playoff caliber team in spurts, but as a team in totality, they're not good enough.
Yeah.
Because you think about this, right? What led to our first discussion point? A special teams miscue by Cincinnati. You have to know the moments, you have to know the situation. You cannot allow a free rusher to come block the punt. Unfortunately for the Dallas Cowboys, they wanted to one-up the mistake by Cincinnati. But those things have followed Cincinnati the entire season. Let's go back to in the fourth quarter, where you look at driving. right? I think it was late in the third quarter, driving an untimely interception by Joe Burrow to Malik Hooker. They were in scoring range. These things have surfaced, but they were able to get the necessary break they needed to be able to win this ball game. But also, too, guys, let's keep it real. If they were playing against a better team, they lose. So I think they were fortunate enough to play against a team like the Dallas Cowboys, because you talked about the mistakes. A good team, a better team, would not allow you to allow a block punt and you still win. A better team would not allow you to have these untimely turnovers like we saw in the interception and you still find a way to win.
You talked about a turnover. You talked about the miscues. How about this, to add icing on the cake? 10 penalties for 77 yards for Cincinnati. So if you're right, if they were playing a better team, they would have gotten blown out, because you can't turn the ball over. You can't shoot yourself with penalties that took away big plays.
It's been the story of the season.
It's been the story of the season. And every time we're talking about Cincinnati, we're talking about one side of the football. Their defense played decent tonight against the Cowboys offense, but they have to play better. Otherwise, they would be playing postseason football, because, again, individually they're good, but as a team, they're not.
All right, for the Cowboys, it's really the end scene. You're going to have to watch some more Cowboys football, but it feels like a state of the union is almost needed. You got your star defensive end who gave the rah-rah pregame, walking off the field with 7 seconds left on the clock with frustration obvious there. You got a backup quarterback trying to will his team to a victory against everything they thought this year would be. It has been none of that. The running back isn't there. The star edge...
3 American yards per carry. To me, if you know your defense is not stopping the passing game of the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're running the football at 7.3 yards a carry, B-Mac and Joe, you continue to, he should have 36 carries for 262 yards.
He should have had a 93 week in and week out. He used to tell us, offensive coordinators and play callers, they're egocentric. Let me set they're egocentric. They want to feed the egos, because if you can do it the easy way, they don't want to do it. That interception that I talked about in terms of when Joe Burrow threw it to Malik Hooker, you got a great opportunity, right? If you're the Dallas Cowboys. What we saw in the plays, 3 passing plays. I'm sorry, no. Rico ran the ball first down. Then he got 12 yards. The next 3 plays were pass, pass, pass. To your point, he's eating. He has the hot hand.
Career high.
Career high.
It could have been even more. You actually shortchanged him because you only gave him 18 carries.
He never ran for 100 yards in a game in his career, 100 on Thanksgiving, 100 plus here.
He's going in the right direction.
Trajectory.
Right?
And to your point, Emery, you slow down the football game. You shorten the field. Run with Rico. You keep Cincinnati on the sideline while working the clock. That's smart football. I don't understand why these coaches, you know what it is? They don't play enough Madden. Because when I play Madden, when I know I need the clock to run and you can't stop my running game, I can care less about style points. This ain't the NCAA where style points matter, Coach McCarthy. You just need to win.
You're doing clock control?
You better believe it. I want to win. I know if you can't stop me running the football, I can run the football while working the clock, and I'm trying to get that W so I can talk trash to whoever it is I'm playing on Madden, online, whatever you want. Get the smoke.
Dallas was 4 out of 12 on third downs, too. You would be 50% if you ran the football.
I don't understand, Coach. I don't understand. I know. Yeah, I have to feel how we feel. Because you're like, run the football. What was his average again?
7.3 USD.
So, U.S. yards.
Exactly.
Right? So, if he ran the ball 2 times, that means he would get you a first down.
First down.
I think that's like 22 feet a carry.
Football is an easy game, man.
It ain't that hard.
And that's a good metric system, right?
He said 22 feet.
No, metric would be meters.
Close enough.
That's all right. We got it all right.
I knew he was
we
good
got it
with
all right.
rulers.
They didn't get it right in terms of running the football here. Dallas had it right in front of them. A special teams mistake and some gaffes in terms of play calling. It spells another loss for Dallas. The good news, plenty of time to figure things out.